Good morning. So I was telling the group earlier that you have been incredibly busy the last couple of weeks, couple of months. You tell me what is going on with TrapKing, and can you share an update?
Oh my goodness. So I just got back from Atlanta. I just was at the grand opening, the open house for the new Atlanta Humane location. And now where I just I just put up in back in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm getting ready for a fundraising event with the rescue called Forever Friends. So I've been ripping and running as usual. The same thing. I was just in Philadelphia last week with CARE, Companions and Animals for Reform and Equity. We had an event called The Gathering out there. That was just probably a week and a half ago. It all starts to blend in after a while.
Oh my goodness, crazy, crazy. So the topic of today's conversation is going to be around the hashtag same team that you created. Probably I've seen it probably a couple of years now almost.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Maybe even longer than that. What got you to utilize that hashtag? Where'd that hashtag come from? And what does that mean for you? Because I asked this question earlier, what same team meant for others.
hmm
And so I'd be curious to know like how it all came about and what it all means.
So same team. At first, when you first get into rescue, like I would assume most people in rescue, when you get started, is you got the animals in mind. You got the cats in mind. You're thinking about rescue. You're thinking about the hurt animals you're going to help. And after you've been in it for a while, I think you start to see some of the issues are within. It's from the people. So, and I saw that a lot of it was just burnout, compassion fatigue, and it wasn't really the eye with the cat with the eye bulging out of his or her head. It wasn't really the lack of resources as much as it was some of the things that we do and say to one another, or some of the things that we don't do and say to one another that was hurting us. So it's to stop a lot of the infighting within cat rescue, within animal welfare as a whole, because we hurt one another. We hurt our own mission when we do that. So same team came about basically saying, let's work together. We are all on the same team. We're all working for the same cause, for something bigger, greater than ourselves. So same team was an attempt for me to start helping out in that area, because like I said, when you first get started, it's about the animals, it's about the cats. For me, it was like, I'm gonna trap all the cats in the world. I'm gonna trap like 100 cats every night. But after a while, you see that a lot of the issues that we face is coming from us. So same team has been the campaign I've been pushing for us to work together for everybody in animal welfare and rescue, no matter how you do it. If you do it different from this person, if you do it the same, we still on the same team.
Right. So you just used some key words there, different. So, we're different people, we've different animals, our cats have different needs, our organizations are different, our organizations offer different services. So how can we feel like we're on the same team when we have these differences and sometimes somebody goes, "Well, I do it this way, you do it that way." How can we acknowledge those differences, accept the differences, cultural, every kind of different, you know, variety that we have out there. How do we sort of accept that without getting sensitive, if that makes any sense?
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of the things that I talk about now when I travel is just understanding that people can and will do it differently. People will explain it or say it a different way. I receive information differently from somebody the way that someone else will receive information. So I think initially understanding that going into a situation is one thing, because we're in it emotionally. It's not animal rescue, especially cat rescue. It's not like it's a bunch of money in this, so we're not in it for the money. We in it for the love. So it's easily to take something personal or to become real emotional in a situation where you're doing rescue. So understanding that things will be said differently, some things will look differently. And a lot of times it's just having that discussion without becoming upset immediately. Like a lot of times we'll see stuff. When I went to Greece and they did things differently, they did things a lot differently from the way we did them out here, but it was because of lack of resources. It wasn't because um, they wanted to do things in a way that others probably wouldn't approve, or they were trying to stand out and be different. It was a lack of resources. So my response meant a lot. It would have been bad if, as soon as I see somebody doing it different, I just make a make an ugly face and I judge them. That would be bad. And then too, I tell a lot of people, what nonprofit or rescue thing are you starting? That'll help that'll help end up a lot of the things too. If you're in an area where there's two TNR nonprofits and then you're going to start a TNR nonprofit, it don't matter what cut, race, size, what you are, you're doing the same thing. So it's going to be difficult if it's three of the same nonprofits doing the same thing in the same area. So things like that, just taking into consideration the people as well, because a lot of times we see the animals, we see the cats, and that's it. We got to help the babies, but we don't think about, is there someone else feeding this colony, or what area am I in? I know some cat ladies that train me. They don't care what area it's in. They going in and saving them babies.
Yeah, yeah, which can be challenging, as you just said, if you've got three TNR groups in one sort of area and you're not defining, how you're working together to be efficient and effective, and if your communication is a bit different, some people will want to return 80% of the cats, and some people will return 20% of the cat, 20% of the cats. They have different opinions with regards to what cats should be returned. And there is no science around that.
Right.
It's an art. It really is. It's an art depending on the situation, the environment, and trying to understand that it isn't just black and white. This is the way we do things, or this is the way everybody should do this. But it sounds like there's a lot of communication that needs to happen, transparency, clarity around, this is what we have control over, this is what we don't have control over, and understanding that the stuff that we don't have control over needs to be kind of tucked aside, I guess I would say. I mean, I'm thinking about some of the emotional stuff I keep hearing about, people in organizations getting death threats because they're not operating the way that the public believes that they should be operating or doing things. And this is the first time in my career that I've heard, on a pretty regular level, the level that emotional anger that's out there.
Yeah. It's surprising to me. It's definitely more heightened. Like I see it throughout the country, throughout the world, and I see it in cat rescue as well, animal welfare, where it is heightened. Like people emotionally, like you said, death threats, uh, all types of different threats, violence, people arguing over things that normally I would assume could be just a discussion, but now it's a big fight about it. So I definitely see that more, and that's the reason for Same Team. Look at my baby. Alanis is gonna go crazy if she don't say hey. Alanis Muissette is like, hey, I'm down here.
Oh,
That
so
was
cute. So cute. They've grown up. I remember when they were kittens.
oh my goodness, they are too grown, just grown and spoiled.
Right, right. So, thank you for creating the Same Team hashtag and using it. If we're an organization, I assume it's okay for them to use that hashtag in some of their communications too.
Oh yeah, please do use and share the Same Team hashtag. I mean, it's for the most part, it's just working together. It's not working against one another. I mean, like I said, we may do things differently. Someone may tip a different ear. They may do things in a different way, but we're still doing things for something that's greater than us. So it's Same Team. It's not working apart. Even if you can't come together and hold hands and do it, we can still work together and not work against one another.
As you know, spay and neuter and the whole focus on access to care is near and dear to my heart. It's always the thing that I bring forward. Do you feel like that is something that we could use as sort of our bedrock, same team, and build from there? Do you feel that in general, that's something that we all believe in?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Initially, I mean, you think of it like this. Most people that's going into animal welfare, they're not going to get into it because they want to hurt an animal. So if you see someone doing something differently, maybe they don't know, or maybe this is just a different way that they do it in this area. But I think initially we want to believe that everybody is in this for a good reason. And I believe it. I believe so. Even, I didn't, before I knew a lot of things that I knew now, I didn't do everything the right way. I had to have room for error and to grow and to learn. So I think, you know, initially that's what most people want. Most people want to do it the right way. And most people believe that other people are doing it the right way. We just get tied up after a while. It builds up. Compassion fatigue is real after you see so much and you do so much. After a while, it's like you hit that wall and it's tough.
Could also be, this is just sort of a thought that's coming to me now, as sort of a redirected anger because the public is very challenging, can be very challenging to us. I mean, we're out there, we're negotiating neighborhood relations. We're not only dealing with the cats in the community, but we're dealing with neighbor to neighbor, learning how to get along with each other. So we have to get involved in a lot more than just trapping and neutering those cats. We have to get involved with, somebody's putting the trash can on the wrong side of the street and therefore they're mad, and then then they don't want the cats in the backyard because the trash can's in the wrong place, or the car needs a cover or something. So
Yeah,
there's all this misdirected negative energy that then comes towards us. And because we have to cross the community planes, we get involved in all that stuff. And where does it go? It goes into us. And where do
yeah,
we take it? So we take it and we reflect it internally, just as the feline behaviorists say. We have our redirected aggression, and we
yeah,
do it with our own family and our own organizations. And that is something that I think we can all try to work on to be more aware of, because then we're going to hurt ourselves internally for sure too.
oh
It
yeah,
sounds like there are some people out there too that are even worried about one group talking poorly about another group and impacting the donor relations in the community too. And I think that there has been a lot of sensitivity about donors and who owns donors and that kind of thing. And we all have to have a communications plan in place. I don't think we own donors. Donors actually statistically will give to multiple animal welfare
right,
organizations. It's not a finite number. I think if they
right,
believe in the cause, they will give donations to multiple groups. But I think that that's also a challenge, especially with you have organizations that are in like the same town, three organizations, and they all do their fundraising event on the same night, right? That's no fun, right?
right, right.
So you have to communicate and have regular communications when it's not an emergency, right?
Yeah,
Spend more
yes,
time with the getting to know you rather than the like, oh my gosh, we have an emergency. There's this front page story on the paper and we all have to get together and find out whose fault this is, right?
right, right, right. That's what you just said there is so critical, is having those conversations when it's not an emergency, not waiting for something to happen before we get together and try to have these conversations or try to understand. Like that's so important, because in the heat of the moment, if we wait until something has finally happened versus getting together and having these conversations beforehand. And that's something that I've been trying to do as well lately. In a lot of communities, if it's a apartment complex, you'll be surprised how many neighbors don't know each other already. And that'll ease it up. Just people coming together saying, hey, it's a little block party. We're gonna have a little food, some snacks, and y'all come out and we can talk and meet one another. That helps a lot too, because a lot of times these folks don't even know each other. So, but yeah, definitely working, nonprofits and rescue groups working together and understanding their neighbors. I think that's something that just, regardless of even looking different or anything, or saying things different or doing it in a different way. I think that's something that will really help. Because like you said, with donors, people would be like, well, that's my donor. What you doing with with my donor? And that's just somebody else on the same team trying to, help and play their part. So it's not your donor in particular. But if it's different groups, if you have a TNR group in this area, and then you have an adoption group in this area, and then a foster group in this area, maybe a transportation or a heal and holding location, then everybody is working and helping each other, and a donor would be able to donate to each different cause effectively versus people fighting over the donor.
Right, right. One last question for you. So, what, 75%, you tell me, whatever percentage, you're working with middle-aged white women, right? And so, how can we open the doors up to more diverse population to get involved in TNR?
Well, I would say, with just like with anything, you give a little, you take a little. It's a dance. A lot of the communities that we go in when we're looking for that diversity, it's just a matter of meeting them where they are. A lot of people probably aren't as focused on the cats in the area as much as they are focused on the cleanliness of an area. So you start where they are. A lot of times I'll start there with just the cleanliness of an area. Hey, you're not really caring about the cats, but all of these cats that's around, we get some of this up. Cats are scavengers. They'll be out here. So meeting people where they are, and not being afraid to just take it in. Sometimes you just gotta listen. Sometimes I go into communities and neighborhoods, and people will say it the wrong way, and I'll just keep listening. I'll let them talk instead of correcting them or cutting them off, and I think that helps. But one way too, I want to say that this has worked. You can't do it 1,000 times because it'll get too expensive. But to find my person, in especially in different areas, of course, the children always work. You get to the children, you get to the adults, they will move the parents. But I'll have contests. I'll always have TNR contests where the first person that sends me a text and let me know that this trap is filled, they get a $40 prize. The second person get a $30 prize, and then $25. And you do that once or twice, and you do it as a contest. And the third time, it's like I can't do that anymore. But somebody's gonna say, okay, I still want to do it. I still want to help with the cats, even though you don't have the money to pay me for the contest. I still want to help. So, and that's your person. That's your person. And I do that in areas I'm not used to, or areas where I know I look differently, and I need to kind of warm people up a little bit to me. So that's a good way as well.
Excellent, excellent. Sterling, well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you for being like all over the country. I don't even know how you get from A to B to C. You've been all over the place. So truly, truly appreciate everything that you do. TrapKing in the United States as well as internationally. Really much appreciate it all. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us today.